Good morning to all those who have already joined us. We will be starting in just a few minutes at 10 o'clock. Welcome to the Tribe Shavuot Programme. There'll be lots happening, lots of fun for you all, lots of prizes and some fascinating stories. So we'll see you soon in just 2 minutes. Wait on screen and we'll be with you shortly. Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to our Tribe Shavuot Programme. So nice to see you all. Even though it's not on Zoom and I can't see you, I can feel that we have so many people with us, listening, enjoying, and hopefully playing our Shavuot game for Megillat Rut. My name is Rav E from Tribe, and I'm joined by Malki from Tribe, who will be joining us soon. Malki's at the under end of the garden. Hey, Malki! You don't have to take 600 meters of social distancing. But anyway, nice to see you there. Malki will be joining us very soon. And I'm grateful to Malki for providing us with her garden so we could sit here in the garden outdoors and enjoy a fabulous Shavuot program. So before we start the story of Megillat Rut, I would like to give you the code and the link to play the game. You could scan the QR code or you can just enter the link. I'll be sharing it with you right now and I'll explain to you what it is that you need to do in order to play our cool Tribe Shavuot Megillat Rut game. Sharing the screen right now with you. Off we go. Okay, here it is. So, as you can see, we have a code here which you can scan, or you can type in the letters here in the type in underlined code here. And one of these will allow you to enter the Shavuot Programme game. Once you've entered the Shavuot Programme game, you will be provided with 20 questions. 10 are keneged na'aseh, and another 10 are for Nishma. And there's a reason I decided to focus on 20 questions today. And the reason is because Aseret HaDivot, the 10 commandments, were given to us on Har Sinai, but they appear twice in the Torah. And also, we know that the 10 Aseret HaDivot, even though we were only hearing them once, on a number of occasions, we heard different things, which provided us with further explanations and interpretations of the 10 commandments. So today, we'll have 10 questions for Naaseh, 10 questions for Nishma, because when we all stood around Har Sinai, we said Naaseh v'Nishma. We are committed to Torah before we even hear what it's about. And that's why Kabbalat Torah, the receiving of the Torah on Mount Sinai, was so special. So once again, just in case you haven't got it yet, I'm going to share the code and share the link with you. You can scan the code or click on the link to enter the game. Here it is once again, and then you should see the tribe game and the Megillat Rut questions. Off we go, sharing it once again with you, and then we should be ready to start. So, over here, I've got the code on the left, the link on the right, and what you should be able to do is scan the code or click on the link. You can copy the link if you like. That will allow you to enter the game. Now, when you enter the actual game, you have to provide us with your full name, because when you provide us with your full name, that means that your name will go into the raffle. You have 20 questions. As I said, 10 for the first set of 10 commandments and another 10 for the second set of 10 commandments. One for Yitro, one for Vayet Hanan. Now, these 20 questions are questions you need to answer while you listen to the story of Megillat Rut and while you listen and look at the song, which we will play towards the end. The 20 questions are all about various things that are happening while we tell the story. For example, we may tell the story and hold up a baby, and then you need to identify which part of the story was it when we held up the baby. We may, for example, it's one last example for you. We may, for example, hold up a jar of water. You will need to guess which part was it when we held that jar of water. So all these different things are going to be happening, and when they happen, you need to identify which part of the story it was in. Now, what makes it that all these items are not going to be displayed in order, meaning that you may find yourself in part 1 looking at an item which actually appears towards the end of the questionnaire, or part 5 could be at the very beginning of the questionnaire. And that's what makes the game fun. So you need to scroll down all the 20 questions constantly to make sure you haven't missed out on anything. Everything's going to be moving very quickly, so you need to identify it as it happens. So if I'm now wearing sunglasses, you need to immediately write which part that was in, when it actually happened. We don't know when it happens because we haven't told the story just yet, so don't complete the questionnaire until you hear the story. Malki's going to be starting the story shortly. I need to call her because she's at the other end of the garden, and I know how long it will take her to get here. Malki, are you there? Oh, she's still on her way. So once again, a reminder, I'm going to share the screen for those who may have been a minute or two late, and because I've got a request on the chat to do that once again. So I'm sharing the screen with you one last time. You need to scan the code on the left or copy the link on the right, and then you will enter the game. Once you scan the code and copy the link, you'll see 20 questions referring to the various parts of Megillat Rut. During the story, various items will be held up, various things will be happening. You need to identify in which part that happens. By identifying it, you fill in the form. It's a Google form, so it's fairly easy to fill in. Once you fill in the form, you submit your answers. And once you have submitted your answers, you are able to enter the raffle. So, who actually enters the raffle? How does that happen? You enter the raffle when you have answered the majority of questions correctly. So there are 20 questions. As I said, the 10 commandments appear twice in the Torah, one in Yitro and one in Ve'et Hanan. So that's 20 questions for the 2 sets of 10 commandments that appear in the Torah. If you have answered at least 11 questions correctly, you enter the raffle. If you answer all 20 questions correctly, which is quite extraordinary, your name may be added to the raffle an additional time. So as long as you have at least 11 questions answered out of the 20 correctly, you will be able to enter the raffle and win. Guess what? A £10 plus £10 Amazon voucher. Once again, one for Nasser and one for Nishma. That's a £20 Amazon voucher. And then the second place will get a £10 Amazon voucher. We look forward to handing out the prizes. More importantly, look forward to you hearing the story of Megillat Rut, enjoying the game, having a fabulous time with us today. So, as I can see that Malki is finally making her way towards me, I'm going to go to the other end of the garden and let Malki start the story of Megillat Rut. It is a phenomenal story about a woman who was not necessarily Jewish when she started her life, but by the time she came to Eretz Israel and joined Am Israel, she epitomized everything that Jewish characteristics and Jewish ideals teach us. It's a beautiful story, a story which I'm sure you'll all enjoy, but make sure that you answer the questions as you listen to the story. And remember, they're not in sequence, they're not in order, so you have to keep alert, concentrate, and answer everything as it comes your way. I'm going to share the screen and start the PowerPoint as Malki is about to start. Goodbye, everyone. Handing you over to Malki for part 1.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here. I am going to make sure that our PowerPoint is a slideshow. Okay, you should all see it now the way I do, which is on your big screen. Starting with our story, as Rav E said, make sure you're following your Google form and you're going to find what I'm going to show. The story of Megillat Rut, here we go. Naomi and her husband lived in Moab. They had 2 sons who were both married. One of the wives was called Orpah and the other one was called Ruth. After a number of happy years together, Naomi's husband died. The sons looked after Naomi. 10 years later, both the sons died, and Naomi had to make a big decision. Now, as you understand, the aim of the game is, I'm going to find this, but I'm not going to say this in the future. So you know that whenever we show something, go to your Google form, find it, click it, so you can have enough correct answers to enter the raffle. Right, that's part 1. Now I have to call Ravi, who's at the end of my garden. Ravi, part 2.
I want some cheesecake!
Cheesecake over here for Ravi. As you know, it's a custom.
Don't run away with my cheesecake!
It's a custom on Shavuot to have the cheesecake.
Did you see the cheesecake? Yes, she ran away with it. Would you believe that Malki just ran away with my cheesecake? That's diabolical. I wished I would have some cheesecake, but Malki has taken the cheesecake and ran to the other end of the garden. Part 2. Are you ready? I am ready with part 2. Naomi decided she would go back to the land of Israel. She had become such good friends with Orpah and Ruth. She knew they would want to come with her too. She said to them, I'm going back to my land. We love Israel. Yay! You must do the same. You must go back to your country elsewhere in the world. May Hashem show you the kindness you have shown me. But Orpah and Ruth said, we shall not leave you. Naomi insisted. Eventually, Orpah agreed and went back to her family. Malki, bring back the cheesecake!
Cheesecake coming up. However, Ruth refused to go. She said to Naomi, where you go, I shall go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your friends will be my friends. Your God will be my God. Naomi was overjoyed. Overjoyed. She was so happy. Okay, where is Rav E? Rav E, don't finish the cake. Leave me some.
Finally, I get to eat some cheesecake. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvaro. Malki is delicious. You know what? I don't think I'll be doing part 4. I think I'm just going to sit here eating cheesecake all day. It's wonderful. Thank you so much, Malki. One of the reasons we eat cheesecake is very much to do with Megillat Rut. You see that it can be confusing because milk comes from the udder of a cow, which is meaty, but the milk is milky. And without actually having the Torah, we'd be all confused. We wouldn't know the difference between meat and milk. But now that we have the Torah, we know exactly how to perform our mitzvot. And that is very much what Megillat Rut teaches us about, the commitment to performing mitzvot. But before, I need to swallow my cheesecake. Before we go to the journey was long and hard. It was such a good job that Ruth had stayed with her friends because Naomi could not have traveled so far without her on her own. Ruth liked helping Naomi. She was her friend. She never complained, and she never expected anything in return. Eventually, they reached Beit Lechem. Beit Lechem, where Naomi was from. Malki, I finished past 4. Come and have some cheesecake.
Coming up. Okay. Saw some yummy bread there. Part 5. Ruth knew she needed to work to support herself and Naomi. It was harvest time. And there was lots to do out in the fields. Ruth began working in the fields, following the harvesters who picked the barley. She would collect whatever they dropped. Anything they dropped would be collected by Ruth. Okay, part 6 coming up. Got to do something for part 5 that I forgot, and that is everything she could collect, whatever they dropped. Coming up, part 6.
Malki, you've just dropped my mouse and my pen and my smiley face and my barley. You dropped it all on the floor. That's not fair. And you know what? I'll be dropping your things on the floor as well because it's not nice. And, oh, at least you didn't drop my cheesecake. I've still got cheesecake. Don't forget to eat your cheesecake for Shavuot because we are now on to part 6. One day, the owner of the fields called Boaz. He noticed Ruth. He asked the harvesters who she was. They explained she had come from Moab with her good friend, Naomi. Boaz was a kind man, and he believed in Hashem. He spoke to Ruth. Don't go into the fields, he told her. Instead, stay here with me, and I will provide you with plenty of food. Food. And if you are thirsty, help yourself to some water from my jar. Food and water was provided by Boaz. And Boaz also made sure that Ruth was safe. All because Ruth needed food, water, and protection. Ruth was amazed and said, "Why are you being so nice to me? I'm just a poor girl collecting the barley from the fields. I'm not even from here and I don't even know you. Why are you being so kind? Why are you being so nice? Boaz, you're an amazing person. Thank you so, so much."
Boaz said, I know you have looked after Naomi. You left your family and you moved here to somewhere you have never been before, just for your friend. May Hashem reward you for your kindness. Reward. Gabi, back to you.
Hi guys, we're on to part 8. Boaz told the harvesters to drop more barley when Ruth doesn't see them. But they were not to let Ruth know they were doing this. She took the barley home and she shared it with Naomi. She thought that the harvesters, the farmers, were just dropping their barley. Little did she know they were dropping it on purpose when she didn't see, so that she would have plenty of food. And now, this isn't one of the questions, but it's pouring with rain in the garden, and we'll need to make some arrangements here, so just bear with us for a moment while we get an umbrella.
Umbrella up.
Umbrella's coming up.
Okay, all good.
Right. Sorry about that, guys. It's very wet here in Hendon. And as you know, we need to be social distancing in the garden, and that's why we're here. So now that it's pouring with rain, Malki's going to run in with anything that doesn't need to be outside, such as our phones and computers. And we're just getting organized again. And we'll be starting immediately with part 9. So just to remind you, in part 8, we said that the farmers were dropping barley when Ruth didn't see what was going on. Once Ruth saw what was going on, she was amazed. She couldn't understand. Why is Boaz being so kind to her? She's just come from a strange country. She's a stranger. She's not even Jewish. She's not even someone who's known to Boaz. And suddenly Boaz embraces her in such a way, helps her in such a way. That is called chesed, the ultimate kindness. Kindness of a person who cares. And that is why Ruth understood she wants to be part of Am Yisrael. She wants to not only be Naomi's friend, she wants to be a Jew. She wants to be a person who receives and keeps the Torah. I will have to talk louder, Malki, now because it's pouring with rain. By the way, Samara, who's doing the technical support today, you promised me that it wouldn't rain before 11 o'clock. Well, it's 10:22 and it's pouring. And the umbrella is just about protecting us. We'll do our best here. On to part 9.
Okay, part 9. Wow, who would have thought that we are sitting here in a proper storm? But I must say, thank God we're protected with an umbrella. Right, it wasn't long before Boaz asked Ruth to marry him. So she did. They had a little son called Oved. Naomi was very happy that her friend had a lovely husband and baby. She deserved it after being such a kind and loyal friend. I just want your computer. Okay, part 10 coming up, last part.
Hi there, guys. I hope my computer will survive this, but if you can still see me, it means that it is. We're on to part 10. Many years later, Oved also married, and his child's name was Yishai. Yishai was the father of King David, who was born on Chag Shavuot. Father of King David, who was born on Chag Shavuot. Now, as you well know, King David, who was born on Chag Shavuot and also died on Chag Shavuot, was a musician. And in part 10, we learn that King David played the harp. Look at this beautiful harp, which I can now play here in the rain as I'm getting absolutely soaked. I hope you're not getting soaked because you're inside in a nice warm place, but I feel the warmth from you, so that's okay. That was part 10. King David was the son of Yishai, who was the son of Oved, who was the son of Ruth. The woman who came from outside Israel, had no idea about the Jewish people or Jewish values of Torah, but fell in love with everything she saw, fell in love with the chesed, with the goodness, with the kindness of the Jewish people. Those are the values of the Jewish people. Those are the values of Torah, the value of chesed. And that is why we read Megillat Rut on Chag Shavuot, because we remember that our Torah is based on kindness, based on chesed. It's no coincidence that if you lose the kindness and chesed in this world, it's called ruthlessness. You are ruthless if you don't have the kindness of Ruth. Ruth represents our connection to Torah based on chesed, based on tzedakah, charity and kindness. And it reminds us that as you receive the Torah and as we accept the Torah on Har Sinai, it's all based on us loving and being kind towards each other. Those are our values. And with those values, we will start singing a special song. The last 5 questions on your questionnaire relate to a special Shavuot song. This special Shavuot song, well, thank you so much, Malki. That's another umbrella. So we've got 2 umbrellas now. One to protect me and one to protect the computer. That's fabulous. Thank you. I'm quite surprised that the computer has survived this because it's absolutely soaked as I am. So, boys and girls, we will now play the song. The song has 5 questions on the questionnaire. Every question refers to a different minute in the song. So as you hear the song, you can relate to a different minute and answer the questionnaire accordingly. So for example, if you're asked, where in the song do you hear a word repeating itself 3 times? And that is in minute, for example, 3 to 4. On the questionnaire, you fill in minute 3 to 4. So you're looking for certain things in the song, and those certain things in the song will appear as questions on your questionnaire. Once you have finished all 20 questions of the questionnaire, please submit. If you haven't done, or if you've joined late, or if you've missed Any of the first 15 questions on the questionnaire, please, please, please don't give up, because you only need 11 questions to get into the raffle, and you'll be able to do that with 11 questions. So you might want to guess part of the first 15 questions, and those guesses may still enable you to go to the raffle at the end. So off we go to the song. You're looking for the last 5 questions on the questionnaire in the song, and hopefully I will not be drenched by the end of it, because it's still pouring with rain. But I suppose rain is a blessing, reminding us that the Torah is like water, which brings life. Torah is our life, and the water brings life, and that's why it's pouring with rain during our Shavuot program. Is that a good explanation, Malki?
That's a fabulous explanation.
Oh, Malki, you look drenched and not quite happy with my explanation. That's just the best I can possibly do.
All our equipment has been covered with umbrellas.
Well, now that we're under 3 or 4 umbrellas, maybe that will protect us. Off we go to the song. Focus on the various items on the questionnaire. Answer the questions based on the minute in the song. Good luck. When you finish, submit, and we'll see if you go in to the big raffle.
Do you want to recap the 4 things they need to find?
Well, the doors have just closed and we are back together again. Now that we have completed the song, you should have all of the information you need to answer all 20 questions. You are now to submit your form, and at the end of this session, in about 20 minutes at the end of this session, you will be able to hear who the winners are, because we're going to put it in a big wheel of names. All those who have achieved more than 11 answers will go into this special raffle and be able to participate in the big prize from Tribe this Shavuot. So, bit of a problem here because my cheesecake is now in a puddle. Can you see this puddle of water? I don't know what to do. Malki, please come and help me. I need to go to the fridge and get a little bit more cheesecake because my cheesecake is wet. And I don't like damp cheesecake. It looks like a sponge, Malki.
Anyone for some wet cheesecake?
Anyone for some wet cheesecake? Anyone in Hendon some wet cheesecake? No, no one's interested. Absolutely no one. Not even Malki's lovely daughters who have come out to see what's going on and why these mad people are shouting and screaming outside in the rain. So, while we prepare for the big raffle, we've got two fabulous stories for you relating to Shavuot, also relating to Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh, because we just celebrated Yom Yerushalayim. I'm going to hand over to Malki, who is going to share a special story for Chag Shavuot. And as you listen to the story, please don't forget to submit your forms. Over to you, Malki.
Okay, so nice to see everyone. We are well equipped with umbrellas. Thank God I have quite a few at home. Trying to make sure our computer doesn't get ruined. Okay. Thank you, Rav E. I hope you all found the things you had to find during the song. You saw on your form that you had from 0 to 1, 1 to 2. I'm sure you all enjoyed it and you all enjoyed viewing the song as well. Okay. I would like to tell you a lovely story about Onkelos. I don't know if anyone knows who Onkelos is, but he wrote a lot about the Torah, and he was a very, very big Talmid Chacham, a big rabbi, a big tzaddik. But there are some very interesting facts from Onkelos that I don't think you know. Onkelos, there was a Roman emperor, and his name was Hadrian. Hadrian had a sister, and the sister had a son. She named her son Onkelos, which is a real Roman name. And as you can already hear and understand, Onkelos was not born Jewish. He didn't know anything, in fact, about Judaism. And he grew up secular. And as he became older, he somehow got friendly with some of the noble Jewish families who lived in Rome. He learned a little bit about their traditions. He found it very interesting, especially the cheesecake on Shavuot he liked. But when he got closer with these families, he found their customs and their way of living and the Torah way. He found it very interesting, and he got very interested in Judaism. He was still not Jewish. He just was interested in it. So he started studying a little bit, looking a little bit into it, finding out a little bit more, Googling about it. No, not Googling. There was no computers at that time. But he got very interested and tried to find out more. Now, realizing that he got more and more and more attracted to Judaism, he thought he was thinking about converting to Judaism. I would like to become one of them. Now, because he was the Roman emperor's nephew, he was pretty scared to become Jewish, because at that time, the Romans, they did not want Jewish people to be Jewish, let alone that the Roman emperor's nephew will become a Jew. How can he get back to the Roman emperor and tell him, I decided that I'm converting to Judaism. I want to become Jewish. He was very scared. What will he tell him? But he was at the same time, he was very interested in the Torah. So he was thinking of a plan. And he went back to his uncle with the following plan. He went to his uncle and he said to his uncle, I would love to get into business. I would love to become a businessman. his uncle was very, very impressed by the idea that his nephew wants to become a serious businessman and is interested in commerce. And his uncle said to him, okay, that sounds like a good plan. I'm going to send you out there to the big wide world, and I want you to travel to lots of different places. And I want you to realize that if you want to become a good businessman, find that one product that is not, that people don't really know about it, that one product that is yet to be discovered. People don't really know about it. It's not so famous. Find that one thing that is very valuable, but people don't know yet. And if you find that one product and you can start trading that product and you can become big and you can become the distributor of that one thing that is not so much out there yet, that's what will make you a great businessman. And this was exactly what Onkelos wanted to hear. So Onkelos went, and his uncle sent him to the big world, right? And he started traveling to lots of places, Middle East, one of them, Turkey and other places, and Turkey. And he got to Jerusalem, to Israel, where he became close with the Jewish people. And he started studying the Torah. And on the side, he also was looking for that product that his uncle was telling him, right? Find that one product that is yet to be discovered, that amazing product. But he spent a lot of time studying the Holy Torah. And he converted to Judaism. And he became Jewish. And he spent a lot of his time studying. And the Rabbanim that were helping him with his conversion, they learned a lot of Torah with him and taught him the Hebrew language and a lot of things. And they were all so impressed by what a clever, super, super smart guy he was. And Onkelos became, like, eventually, later on, he became a big rabbi. So Onkelos was there converting to Judaism. And it came the time that he had to go back to his uncle, to Hadrian, right, the Roman's emperor. He had to get back to him to tell him how his business is going, right? Don't forget, he's on a business trip. And he gets back to his uncle. And his uncle sees him and says to him, what happened to you? You look a bit different. That's not how you left. That's not how you looked when you left. His whole face changed. He became calmer. And he looked at his uncle and he said, well, I went out there on the business trip and I went to follow what you told me. And I was trying to find that product that is very rare to find and that product that people haven't discovered yet. And actually, uncle, I would love to tell you that I found that product. That product, in fact, is the Holy Torah. And his uncle looked at him and said to him, what? Are you completely normal? Like the Holy Torah? Like I told you to find a product to trade. He goes, yes, I found out that the Holy Torah is so valuable, so special, and people out there don't know. People out there don't know how special it is. They don't know what a big treasure it is. And I found out, and I got really interested in it, and I started learning it, and I discovered that it's unbelievable. And I've spent so much time learning it and writing about it that I, in fact, decided that I want to convert. And his uncle said to him, the Roman emperor said to him, what? I've been waiting for you to become on the stage of big Roman special, the nephew of the Roman emperor. You're going to be a very, very like important person. You're going to be like a president. You're going to be like a big, and this is what you became. You became Jewish. And he was quite angry and he was thinking, what can I do to punish him? And he said to him, okay, I'm giving you one more chance to explain to me what nonsense came into your head and why you did it. He said, well, before I left, you told me, if you want to be a good businessman, find that one rare product that no one has discovered yet, that one very valuable thing that people don't know yet that it exists. Find it and start, like, learn it, understand it, and then eventually you can trade it. So he said, that's exactly what I did. I found a product, I started learning it, and now I would love to write books. I would love to teach other people about it because it's such a treasure. And his uncle, after he heard his explanation, the Roman emperor, said, I'm not going to punish you, because he understood what he said. And he said to him, I'm going to let you go. He didn't give him a punishment, and he let him become Jewish, and he didn't do anything to him. But that's how Onkelos became Jewish. And if you learn I think Chumash it is, you'll see that Onkelos has things he writes about the Chumash, and it's brought down in the Torah. So I hope you all enjoyed the story, and I hope you can all understand why this relates to Shavuot. Because on Shavuot, we get the Holy Torah, and we don't even realize what a special treasure we get. But we need to understand it. We need to be so happy and grateful that we have the Torah. And whenever we can, and if we have free time, and if we can do mitzvot, or learn a bit of Torah, and understand what a special treasure it is that we have. I hope you all enjoy the story. And I'm going to hand over to Rav E, who is going to continue our program for today.
Thank you so much, Malki. What a wonderful story. That's the second story we've heard today about conversion. So the first was Rut, who was not born Jewish, but she was the great-great-grandmother of David HaMelech, King David. And now we also learn about Onkelos, one of the greatest rabbis of all times. Any Chumash that you open will include the translation of Onkelos and the explanation, interpretations of Onkelos, which teaches us that everyone can access Torah, everyone can be part of receiving the Torah, and everyone can demonstrate the kindness of Rut and the wisdom and determination of Onkelos. So, I was just in touch with the tribe team who told me that they got it wrong with the rain. You see, I told them to make sure that it doesn't rain from 10 to 11. They accidentally understood that it can rain 10 to 11. You see, 10 to 11 is when the rain was supposed to start. And instead of doing that, the tribe team made it rain from 10 to 11. So everyone's confused. It was not supposed to rain. I'm so sorry about the misunderstanding. And hopefully now the rain can stop at least till 10 to 11. So my second story, or our second story in this program, is going to relate not only to Shavuot, but also to Yom Yerushalayim. The story is from a special book called The Story of a Paratrooper, Sipuro Shel Tzamchan. Now, the story of the paratrooper was written by a special man called Moshe Amiyav, who fought during the Six-Day War in 1967 when the soldiers arrived in Yerushalayim. And he has a very special story to share, and I wanted to share this story with you so you can also relate it to Yom Yerushalayim, which we celebrated last week, and to Shavuot, which we celebrate this week. Moshe was born just after the Second World War, also known as the Shoah. He was born in 1946, 1 year after the big Second World War had just ended. His parents met each other after the war, and he had one grandfather who survived the war, who was still alive, and saw him born in 1946 after the Second World War, after the Shoah. His grandfather was so grateful to Hashem. He was so happy that he had the zchut, had the merit of seeing a grandson being born after all the difficulties of the war, after all those years of darkness during the times of the Shoah. And he gave him a special blessing when he was born at his Brit. And his blessing was, Moshe, you should be the first person, the first Jew to touch the stones of the Kotel in the Free State of Israel. The Free State of Israel, said his mum and dad. What Free State of Israel? There is no State of Israel. How is that possible? The Kotel, said all the other guests at the Brit. That's not possible. How would a Jew ever be able to touch the holy stones of the Kotel? It's not possible. We have no access. It's dangerous. No, said the grandfather. He was determined. He said, I'm not dreaming. I am giving you a blessing. You should be the first Jewish person to touch the holy stones of the Kotel. With that blessing, Moshe started his life. His grandfather didn't make it to the land of Israel. He was niftar, meaning that he passed away or died before Moshe came to Israel in 1948. The state of Israel was established, and Moshe made Aliyah together with his parents as a very young boy. He was only 3 or 4 years old, just after the state of Israel was established. And that's why we have Yom Ha'atzmaut, which we just celebrated 1 month ago. So Moshe grows up in Israel In the end of the 1950s, he goes to yeshiva, he celebrates his bar mitzvah, and once again, his mother and his father repeat the blessing that he heard from his grandfather at his brit. Moshe, we bless you to be the first Jewish person to touch the holy stones of the Kotel in the Free State of Israel. Well, by then everyone understood there's a Free State of Israel. That's no longer a dream, that's a reality. But touching the stones of the Kotel, that's not possible. No one can touch the stones of the Kotel. It's too dangerous. We have no access to there. Israelis can't just go and touch the stones of the Kotel. Jews can't touch the stone on the Kotels in the 1950s. That was not possible. But his mother and father said, your grandfather gave you the blessing. You should be the first Jewish person to touch the holy stones of the Kotel in the Free State of Israel. And we hope that that blessing will become a reality. Moshe grew up hearing his blessing time after time again. Every time he had a birthday, every time there was a special occasion in the family, every time he achieved anything, he graduated from school, he celebrated an 18th birthday, he repeated that blessing, reminding himself and everyone attending around him that he is to be the first person to touch the holy stones of the Kotel in the Free State of Israel. He believed in it with all his heart, but he had no idea how this could ever happen. So, when he was 19 years old, it was 1967. Like many other boys his age, he joins the Israeli army. A few months after he joins the Israeli army, the 6-day war breaks out. And he was not a little bit surprised when he discovered that his unit was being sent to the mountains of Jerusalem. And he had a funny feeling that maybe his unit of paratroopers would be making their way to the Kotel, and he may be the first Jewish person to touch the holy stones of the Kotel in the Free State of Israel. How that would come about, he had no idea, but he believed it with all his heart. His units were making their way towards Jerusalem on the 3rd day of the 6-day war. They came just 500 yards away from the Kotel, just by the gates leading to the Kotel, and the Jordanians were bombing them heavily. Moshe was injured, he was bleeding, and he couldn't continue fighting. He was absolutely exhausted after 3 days of fighting with no sleep, with no food, with no water. He was taken into an ambulance to hospital. Moshe was beside himself. No, he shouted, don't take me. I can't go. I need to stay with my unit. Moshe, you're injured. You're bleeding. You can't continue. He was hurt in his head and he couldn't possibly continue fighting. No, said Moshe. Nothing's wrong with me. Let me leave the ambulance. Let me go to the Kotel. I need to be the first Jew to touch the stones of the Kotel in the Free State of Israel. What are you talking about, Moshe? There are hundreds of other soldiers who can touch the stones of the Kotel for you. You don't need to be that person. No, said Moshe, don't take me to hospital. I can't leave this place. I must touch the stones of the Kotel. We're just a few hundred yards away, please. Moshe didn't give up. But the medical team needed to take him to hospital because he really needed treatment. And so Moshe arrives in hospital in Hadassah Ein Karem. As he arrives at the hospital, he says to the doctors, I need to be the first Jew in the state of Israel to touch the holy stones of the Kotel. Please let me go. Moshe, you can't go anywhere. You need stitches. You need an operation. When is my operation? Asks Moshe. Your operation is scheduled for tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Well, tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I will have my operation. But for now, please leave me in peace. I want to rest in my bed in hospital. Moshe makes out as if he's falling asleep. Remember, this is after he didn't eat and didn't sleep for 3 days. So he must have been absolutely exhausted. He shuts his eyes, lies in bed and asks everyone to leave. The doctors and nurses leave. And just as they leave, at 3:30 in the morning, he gets out of bed. He wears his uniform. And he marches out of hospital as if he wasn't a patient, but just another visitor. Despite his injury, despite being very tired, despite being after a full night in hospital and with no sleep, he walks to the kotel. He goes back to the very place. He reaches Sharash, that special gate. He suddenly realizes that his unit are not there, and he doesn't know what to do. His unit had continued to surround the old city and were entering through Shar Ha'arayot, the gate of lions. But he didn't know that. He didn't know where to find his unit. So he enters through the gate, which was much nearer to the kotel, just a few hundred yards away, while his unit walked all the way round through the gate of lions during the 2 or 3 hours when he was not with them. He reaches the kotel at 1 minute to 10, just before his unit walks in through the gates of lions, and reach the kotel at 10 a.m. Because the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, the Israeli army, were already securely in the old city, he did not put his life in danger in any way as he walked through into the kotel and touches the stones of the kotel. And he was indeed the first Jew to touch the holy stones of the kotel in the free state of Israel. He stands there by the kotel and thanks Hashem, thanks God for being able to fulfill his dream. And if he would not have been injured and he wouldn't have made his way to hospital, he wouldn't have been the first Jew to touch Israel, to touch the kotel in the free state of Israel. And on this special occasion, I want to share with you a picture of Moshe Amiav touching the stones of the kotel. Here you see him. He's standing there by the kotel, and you'll see that there is a bandage on his head. Now, the bandage on his head is because he was injured, but he's wearing his full uniform because he made his way out of hospital just as a visitor rather than a patient. So at 10 a.m., his unit joins him. They all dance and sing at the kotel together. But then, a few minutes later, after fulfilling his dream and touching the stones of the kotel for the very first time, he walks back to Hadassah Ein Karem, takes off his uniform, gets into his hospital pajamas, lies in bed as if nothing happened, and waits for his operation. At 3 o'clock, the doctors wake him up and say, "You see, Moshe, you needed a good night's sleep." "Yes, I did," said Moshe. "I really, really did. You were talking about some funny things last night, about touching the stones of the kotel for the first time." Forget about it," says Moshe. "Let's just go into the operation." He was operated, the operation was successful, and he fully recovered on Chag Shavuot, which is tonight. On Chag Matan Torah, he then walks back to the kotel, this time not in an army uniform, this time with no bandage on his head, as a free Israeli man visiting the kotel and davening in the kotel. And he writes in his book that when he stood there at the kotel, davening during the Matan Torah Chag, during the festival where we receive the Torah, he felt that he was standing again on Har Sinai, that he was receiving the Torah once again, this time in Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh. We have no idea where Mount Sinai is. There are various speculations as to where in the desert we can find Mount Sinai, but we do know where the Kotel is. We do know where Jerusalem is. And no matter where in the world we are, we remain connected to Jerusalem. And maybe that is the reason there are only a few days between Yom Yerushalayim, the day we celebrate the unity of Jerusalem, and Shavuot, the day we receive the Torah, because the two are strongly connected. Torah is about the holiness which we have in our hearts, and Yerushalayim is about the holiness of the land. And when our heart meets the land of Israel, that is when Am Yisrael unites like never before. That is why Jerusalem is named Ir Shechubra La Yachdav, a city of unity. We unite with Torah, we unite with Yerushalayim, and we unite as a nation. Am Yisrael Chai, all together. I hope you enjoyed that story, and now it is finally time to have the raffle. So let's see how many of you have managed to answer the Shavuot quiz. I really look forward to seeing this because we will finally know how many people go in to the big wheel. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe it. I am so proud of all 35 participants who have been the winners of the Shavuot quiz, who are all going to go into the big wheel raffle. And I'll also thank all 45 children who participated. So 35 out of the 45 are now going to go into the raffle. I am copying and pasting your names into the big wheel, and I will soon be sharing the screen on the wheel of names with all 35 participants. And the participants are all going to be able to enjoy the chance of winning a tribe prize. First time round is going to be a £20 voucher, 10 for Nasa, 10 for Nishma, and the second time round is going to be a £10 voucher for the 10 commandments for Aseret HaDibrot. Off we go. I'll be sharing it right now. Apologies for the wait, guys. Here we are. Wheel of Names is now up. So you can see all participants here. I'm going to shuffle all the entries. Shuffle it once again. And are you ready for the big spin? Off we go. The big spin with all the names is coming up now. Click to spin. And the first prize goes to Jonah and Mia. Jonah and Mia Zakaria, well done. I'm going to make notes of your name so you can contact the tribe team for your prize. There we go. Jonah and Mia Zakaria, first prize, well done. And the second prize goes to Annabelle Seeger, well done. Annabelle Seeger is the winner of the second prize. Well done to all 35 participants who very bravely entered the Tribe Shavuot competition. And well done to our two winners, to Jonah, to Mia, and to Annabelle. Please be in touch with the tribe team so we can all celebrate Shavuot together, knowing that you received your prize. Thank you so much to Malki. Thank you so much to Tamara for all the technical support, making sure that everything runs smoothly despite the rain. As you can see, the sun has just come out because from 10 to 11 it stopped raining. You see, they just got the message wrong. They thought it was 10 to 11 with rain rather than 10 to 11 with rain. What can you do? You can't always get it right, but no matter what, come rain or shine, we continue learning Torah, we continue celebrating, and we continue eating cheesecake! Chag Shavuot Sameach, everyone! Goodbye from me and from Malki!
Chag Shavuot Sameach, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Have a lovely Chag. Enjoy it and enjoy all the yummy cheesecakes and milky food. Bye!
Goodbye!